Tibetan wrap bracelet, upcycled sari fabric, raw edges, Puerto Rican color, and chaos with control in 15 minutes. Let's go. This is the cotton core, the foundation everything else lives on. Wrap the cord around the widest part of your hand and make sure that the cotton rope is snug. This is the bones of the bracelet. It has to be secure. So I'm using fabric tack to go in between the two ends of the cotton cord. But I'm also using metal tape, aluminum tape from the hardware store, because it's incredibly sticky and incredibly strong, and you're gonna have a really good joint there. It's almost as if you soldered fabric. Once you've wrapped it all the way around, you can also shape it a little bit and make it look very round, and it will be completely invisible. The Uhu glue stick is my best friend in this process. It holds everything in place while I try to figure out what I want. I chose denim, a thick fabric to cover the joint. Now it's time to choose a piece of sari fabric and start adding some color. This fabric already had a life before I even got it. Someone wore this, and someone else recycled it, and that is beautiful. I'm Puerto Rican. Color is not just decoration for me, it's my identity. It's color memory. And remember, nothing here came from a big box store. This is slow making. This is vandalism. Let's talk about edges because they really matter. Here we've got two kinds of edges. We've got cut edges and raw edges. The cut edges are where the scissors went. Clean and straight. Finished. Honestly, the least interesting edge you have. Raw edges are where the fabric naturally is frayed, organic and slightly chaotic. I finally chose the army green linen, a completely different texture against the sari fabric. I'm making sure that the cut edge is covered by the beautiful, naturally frayed edge. Now we're moving on to this green sari fabric with gold threads. As I wrap it, I'm being deliberate about which edge faces out. The raw edge gets celebrated. The cut edge is going to be hidden. I've tried to ensure that the cut edge will go inside the bracelet. That way, no one will ever see it. The orange and gold ribbon is frayed on both sides. Ideal. Both edges are raw, both are beautiful. But watch where the cut end goes. I tuck it to the inside of the bracelet. The outside is only raw edges, organic edges, and the beautifully broken edges. Honestly, you could just stop right here. This is a complete fabric bracelet. It's beautiful on its own. There's nothing wrong with it. If you wanted to finish at this stage, I would have used fabric tack instead of the glue stick for a permanent hold. But we're doing chaos, so this isn't my finished version, and I can't stop here. This is a good time to double check the size on your wrist before we go any further because you can always make adjustments here. Magical colored copper wires. We're going to choose pink, purple, and green today. But first I want to add in an additional texture, leather. This is where the piece starts to get even more structure. Fabric tack for the leather is a stronger bond than with the glue stick. Leather needs more hold. And the leather's a nice bridge between the soft fabric world and the hard wire and stone. I want to smooth out the height difference between the leather and the fabric. This gorgeous vintage sari yarn does that perfectly. So let's begin our first Tibetan wrap. First we start with a loop. One end is longer than the other. The long end is the wrapping end. We'll begin to wrap towards the loop over and over and over again. Use this time when you're wrapping to also make any adjustments. By keeping it tight, it always looks nicer when you're done. Once you get to the end here and you finish wrapping, you're going to place this end through the loop. Now, while keeping tension on everything, you're going to pull the bottom thread down, and this will pull the loop and the string under what you've wrapped. Then you can trim and fray the ends. We're going to bring in another vintage textile, but this is just sari threads. They have not been spun into yarn. They're very cool looking and have a really nice texture, so I want to use these on the opposite side. I'll give them a twist to try to give them a little bit of time to sort of get together. But when I use these, I know I'm going to end up covering them in wire to secure them in place. Now we're just going to wrap this around and do some simple knotting to attach it to the bracelet. Not sure if I mentioned this, but nothing here is planned. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just sort of listen to the colors and the textures and the fabrics, and that's how I curate chaos. The wire and needle technique is something I came up with because when I first started making this, they would fall apart. This is how you get a real hold for the bracelet core with a very fine wire. You thread it onto a needle and it goes through the bracelet, not just around it. This is what separates a bracelet that lasts from one that falls apart, like my first ones did. And the green bicone crystals come in handy. Watch how I weave in and out and back and forth between the stones. The stones and wire aren't just decorative, they're structural. Every pass is securing something, and the beads act as anchors. By the way, how you end the wire clearly matters as much as how you started it. And I love to wrap and weave, knowing that these things I'm building are strong and durable. Time to stop and assess. Hold it up, turn it around, look at what it needs. The bracelet will tell you if you listen. I think it's time for some more Tibetan wrapping. Let's pick something that's different. This is a cording that's matte, and I think it'll be a nice element here. This is the same Tibetan technique as before. We're making the loop and we're wrapping up towards the loop. And of course, we put the end piece through and pull the bottom string. This time we will clip and tuck the strings rather than fray them. I feel like it needs some fine glittery floss, so I'm going to add some right here. Tibetan wrapping returns with this beautiful copper thread. I use Tibetan wrapping all the time. I absolutely love it. It works with so many different materials. Highly recommend you learn this technique. Okay, so there's one problem area. On this part of the Sari silk over here, you'll see that I do have a straight edge. The cut edge actually ended up on the outside of the bracelet. It's annoying me, so let's cover it. I love to do this kind of, I don't know what you call this stitch. I like to call it a suture, because that's what it kind of looks like. I'm going to repair it with thread. I'm going to cover up that edge with thread and also attach the fabric to the bracelet and make it stronger. I love things that are structural and also get rid of my problems. Sometimes it's nice after stitching to wrap it a couple times so it looks even more fancy. And then make sure that you end it really well with a really good knot. Sometimes I'll go back and add a little bit of glue to the knot just to make sure it's extra secure. Okay, so here we are so far. This leather's bothering me. We'll get to that in a minute. It needs another texture and another color. So I think I'm going to bring in some turquoise and do a real quick little Tibetan wrap. Time for a little more wire wrapping. Same technique, just some different beads. These are seed beads, and they do happen to glow in the dark, but that's not why I chose them. I chose them for their color and their shape. We're going to use the same weaving technique of in and out and back and forth, ending cleanly. In case I forgot to mention earlier, when I'm using wire, I run back through the beads many times. This makes everything super secure. After I'm done adding beads, I like to give it a little twist and then run those ends of the wires back through and trim them off. Sometimes it's necessary to tuck in those little ends, so beware. I think we need a little bit more texture on this orange part. It seems a little empty. I'm going to use French knots. These are all so pretty, but I think we're gonna go with the green and orange. It's just the right color choice. Now, I am not going to attempt to teach you French knots because I took an entire day and many, many videos to learn how to do this. But if you go out there and look around, I'm sure you'll find a video to teach you. You basically bring the needle in front, wrap it around a few times, and then reinsert it in a different place. And that gives you the knot. It works really well to create texture and color. I absolutely love French knots. This is where it's slow stitching. I think this section took about 15 minutes, but it was worth it because it was very relaxing and I love the outcome. Okay, we're almost done, but I need one more Tibetan wrap and then we'll get into fixing this leather. Loving it, except the leather is sticking out to me. It needs something. We can always go back. Nothing's finished until you say it's finished. So we're gonna do some gold sparkly cording while I think about this. When in doubt, use sparkle and fray those ends. I think I figured out the leather doesn't look like it belongs, doesn't look aged. So I'm gonna get a dauber and an ink pad, and I am going to age this leather right now. Watch how the ink changes the leather immediately, takes it from new to lived in. This is cohesive vandalism, fixing that one element that didn't work. Okay, I'm happy. I'm gonna call this one done. I'm feeling very satisfied. Total work time on this piece, 2.5 hours. Here it is stacked with another one because I normally don't just wear one. Reclaimed saris, Tibetan tradition, Puerto Rican color, and curated chaos with a lot of soul. Beautifully broken. Every raw edge celebrated, every cut edge vandalized, and turned into something better. Make because you have to. Make it yours. If you got this far, leave a black heart in the comments. Love ya.